Hey, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Cheider. Welcome to story time. Story times from ancient times, here and now. Shai Son, you able to hear me? Orly Son, could you hear? Give me thumbs up. All right, we got thumbs up. So welcome everyone to another wonderful edition. Thank you to Benji, to Bihuda, to Leeba for putting this awesome thing together. This beautiful way for everyone to kind of get together here. This is really cool. Okay, thumbs up. Shai, you hear me? Okay, great. Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share a story. It's so good to have everybody together here hanging out. I'd like to share a very special story about a Yid named Reb Hershela. Now, everybody knows that there is nothing more special than the relationships, the friendships that are formed when Chaver get together to do something holy. And when we travel together to holy places, at holy times, at special times, when we head to tzaddikim together, to spend Rosh Hashanah, or when we spend time with our friends, traveling together to Meiron, or to going up to Yerushalayim, or traveling together to go to tzaddikim, those relationships that are formed and the special things that take place baderech on those journeys are legendary. So Reb Hershela was a Jew who wanted nothing more than to spend Yontif with his Rebbe. Thing was, it was a long journey, very expensive, took a lot of effort. But Reb Hershela, every single year, would make the effort, would make the journey from his shtetl, from his town in Europe, and travel all the way across to go to visit his Rebbe. Now, he would save money in order to hire the best wagon driver and the strongest horses to bring him all the way across Europe and Ukraine to get to his Rebbe. And he would always make sure to collect, to save penny by penny, pruta by pruta, to save his agurot, to save his kopecks, to save his shkolim and his quarters and his nickels and dimes, to be able to have money to buy a gift, to present to the tzaddik, to present to the Rebbe, to bring a pidyon, to bring something special along so that he could present it to his Rebbe. And he knew how much his Rebbe enjoyed getting those special gifts. One year he brought a special Kiddush cup for his Rebbe to use on Rosh Hashanah. One year he brought a fancy silver Mayim Achronim for his Rebbe to use. At the end of Sukkot. He brought a fancy Leichter, a candelabra for his Rebbe's Rebbetzin to light on Yom Tif. But he knew that there are tzaddikim in the world who enjoy bling, who like to have nice stuff on the tables, a keli vanveyu to adorn their Shabbos and Yom Tif table. And he made every effort to always bring something special, a special gift for the tzaddik when he would go to visit him. He wasn't sure what to do. It was after Pesach, around these days, the days before Lag BaOmer, where he prepared himself to set out for the long journey through the forests and across the continent to go to visit his Rebbe. He's wondering to himself, what should I bring? On Sukkot, I bring a nice silver esrog holder. And on Pesach, I brought a big fancy holder for the matzah. And one year, he brought when he went for Chanukah, he brought a beautiful silver menorah. But what could he bring for Shavuos? He was preparing himself to go visit his Rebbe for Matan Torah, to spend Yontif together all night with his friends and Chevra in Shul in the Beis Medrash with the Rebbe. What could he possibly bring him for Shavuos? Now, everybody knows that the Iker, the main thing of Shavuos, the main thing of Matan Torah, the main thing of preparing ourselves to receive Torah Hashem Tamima Mashivas Nefesh, the main thing, the Iker, that Hashem is waiting for us on Shavuos is lotus cheesecake and fancy cheesecakes. The main thing that Hashem is waiting for us all night, getting ready for Matan Torah and counting Sfiras HaOmer every single day, is counting all the different awesome recipes and all the different permutations and fancy ways that we could pack as much saturated fat and calories and cool whipped cream and geschmacka things on top of all different types of cheesecakes to prepare ourselves for mozzarella chalav, to have fancy cheesecakes on Shavuos. So Herschel thought to himself, hold on, I'm going to make the journey to my Rebbe for Yom Tov, for Shavuos, and for sure they're going to have cheesecake and mozzarella chalav there. I know what I could do. I could bring a fancy cheesecake platter all the way to my Rebbe. He'll be so happy to get it. It'll be perfect. And on Yom Tov, he'll put the cheesecake on it and make a whole to-do. And I'll have a whole fancy table set up over there, a whole blinged up Yom Tov table. And at the center of it all will be a fancy cheesecake on the platter that I bring him. And he took all of the pennies and kopecks and shkolim and rubles that he'd saved up all year and bought a beautiful, fancy silver cheesecake holder. Sir Herschel was ready to depart on his journey, and all of the friends and the neighborhood and the shtetl came out to wish him well on his trip. Everybody gathered around the wagon and horses and gave him kvitlach, little notes with their names on it, to bring to the Rebbes that he could daven for all of them. He was going to be the representative from the shtetl, from their neighborhood, to the Rebbe for Yom Tov. And he got on to the wagon, and the wagoneer departed on the journey on the way to the tzaddik, on the way to the Rebbe. It was a long trip. They would have to go through deep forests, over hills and through valleys in order to make it to the Rebbe for Shavuos, to get there for Yom Tov. Now it was springtime, and just like here, yesterday it was pouring rain, and all night loud pouring rain. The weather was somewhat unpredictable, especially in that area. Now, it seemed like the journey was going to be going fine. I mean, he had a couple very strong horses and a very professional wagoneer who was going to be leading them, who was driving. But the journey was filled with all sorts of unknowns. I mean, we all know that any traveling, any journey, any destination, for us, we're going from Pesach to Shavuos. For Herschel, he was going from his shtetl to the Rebbe. That our journeys in life, our drachim, our journeys in life are filled with unknown. And Shomer P'sayim Hashem is watching out for all of us simple folk who are doing our best. But the tzaddikim say that it's not just Shomer P'ta'im Hashem, that Hashem is protecting those of us who are going with tmimos and pshitos, simplicity, and going to trying to keep Torah mitzvos, but also Shomer P'sayim with a samich, that Hashem is watching out for all the steps that we take on our journeys. Hashem Mitzadeh Gaver, Hashem is watching out for us and seeing that every step we take towards something holy is protected. But sometimes these journeys can have all sorts of twists and turns and all sorts of ups and downs. And wouldn't you know it, that in this journey Herschel was taking through all the forests on the way to the tzaddik, they came to the edge of a river. Now he thought that it was still, even though it was springtime in that part of Poland, he thought that it would be frozen over and that they'd be able to go over the river easily on the way to the Rebbe. But here he saw that, wow, there was so much rain that the water seemed a little bit more deep than it usually was. Now the wagon driver said, Herschel, listen, I don't know if this is a good idea. It looks like the water's kind of deep. It looks like the waters are raging stronger than usual. The ice melted and there was a very, very strong rain this winter. I don't know if it's a good idea for us to try to cross this. But Herschel said, no way, we're stopping now. We're going to the tzaddik. We're going to be Makabel Torah with the Rebbe. We're going to get there no matter what. You know, I have this fancy cheesecake platter that's with me that the Rebbe is going to be so excited to use on his blinged out Yom Tov table. We have to go. We have to go for it. Wagon driver said, I don't know, Herschel, if this is a good idea. I mean, with all due respect for your etzonos, what you want and where you want to get to, the water seems like it's kind of deep and this doesn't seem like a great idea. But Herschel says, come on, We're going to do it. Let's do our best. Come on. We know all the stories of the Baal Shem Tov and the Baba Sali and all the different tzaddikim who made it over rivers. We can do it too. Let's give it a shot. Wagon driver said, I don't know if it's a good idea. But Herschel said, giddy up, let's go. Next thing you know, the horse dove into the water with the wagon. And Nebuch, you can't believe what happened. The water was so much stronger and so much deeper than they realized. The wagon got flipped over. And Herschel got thrown into the raging waters. And the wagon driver got thrown into the river. And the wagon got swept away. And the horse was stuck in the water. And everything that was in it, his talus, his tefillin, everything, all of his clothing, all of the food that was in the wagon, everything got swept down the raging river, including the fancy gift, the cheesecake plate that he bought for the tzaddik. Everything was in the river. But he couldn't even have time to think. He was gasping for air and trying to hold on to grab onto anything. And it was a crazy, chaotic scene. And the one horse drowned and another one tried to make it to shore and the wagon driver disappeared and everything was swept down the river. And when we're in trouble and when we need a Yeshua, when we're scared, when we're fearful, what do? We cry out. We cry out to Hashem. And who are you going to call when we're stuck, when we need help? Who are we going to call when all of our options are running out? We need to be saved. We call out to Hashem, and also Sami HaKabai. We scream out to Sami HaKabai. Fireman Sam and Neptune to the rescue. Thank God they made it. Thank God the Chevra made it down the river, and they're able to save Herschel and pull him out from the river. But the horse and the wagon and the cheesecake plate and all of their stuff, even Paw Patrol and Elvis and all of the Chevra and B.A. Baracus and all of the Ghostbusters in town weren't able to save the horses and the wagon and all of the stuff. But they were, thank God, able to pull Herschel out of the water. And Herschel was on the side of the river trying to catch his breath, wondering, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it to the Rebbe for Yom Tov? Oh my gosh, thank God I'm alive. But where am I and how am I going to make it there? Thankfully, Sami HaKabai and the A-team were able to bring him to the tzaddik, were able to bring him to the Rebbe. He got there right before Yom Tov, right before Shavuos. And when he arrived, soaking wet and all schlepped out to his Rebbe, his clothing was tattered and worn. He was soaking wet. Everything was waterlogged. And he couldn't even believe that he was alive. What an unbelievable miracle. He wanted to say Hagomel and thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, everybody. Thank you, Hashem, I'm alive. I can't believe it. He came into his Rebbe and he said, Rebbe, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And he starts telling the story about the horses and the river and the raging water and that they almost drowned. And then Paw Patrol and Sami HaKabai saved them with an incredible mace. And Rebbe, I finally made it here. I just made it in time for Yom Tov. And I barely made it out alive. And while he was telling his story, his Rebbe looked at him and said, Herschela, that's all very nice and fine, but tell me, what did you bring me for Yom Tov? What kind of gift did you bring me? Now, I don't know if you kids, I don't know if the children here know what this scene could feel like, but anybody who travels, anybody who goes away to work and comes home after a little bit of time away from the people that they love, the first thing you don't want to hear is, what did you bring me? What did you bring me? What did you bring me? First, hello, Boker Tov Abba, Erev Tov Abba, Shalom Aleichem, Herschel, something. But the Rebbe's looking at him like, come on, Herschel, don't tell me this story. What did you bring me? Sukkot, you brought me such a beautiful silver esrog holder last year. And Pesach, I remember you brought me a beautiful silver matzah plate. And I remember back in the day, you brought such beautiful leichter that the Rebbetzin enjoyed. Tell me, Herschela, Shavuos, Matan Torah, what do you have for me? What gift did you bring? You must have something special. You came such a long way. Come on, Herschela, what do you have? Herschel looked at him and said, wait, did the Rebbe not hear what I just went through? Did the Rebbe not hear the story of how I almost drowned, of how everything got swept away, about how the horses are gone and the wagoneer is gone and everything is gone? I have nothing. And he looked at him and he said, Rebbe, I almost drowned. Neptune, Samia Kabai, they pulled me out of the water. And the Rebbe said, okay, good, tell me more. But Ursula, a pigeon, Epis, something. You must have something that you brought me here for Yontif. I mean, we're busy getting ready over here. We've been counting for days, all the spheros, making tikkun and getting ready, all of our midos. We've been preparing. There's flowers set for the shul. There's cheesecakes in the oven. Tell me, Herschel, you must have something special for us for Yontif. Tell me something special gift. And Herschel looked at him and said, Rebbe, I have nothing. Rebbe, I came with nothing. And he started to cry. And he couldn't believe. The Rebbe was so insensitive. The Rebbe so tone deaf. The Rebbe so missing the point. All he's looking for is a gift. Doesn't he realize how the effort that I made to make it here? And he started to cry. And the Rebbe said, Herschel, I want you to dig deep now. Don't tell me you don't have anything here, that you came empty-handed. Dig deep. Look through your pockets. Come on, open your heart. Look through your pockets. Open your heart. Look inside. There has to be something that you have. Herschel starts checking his pockets and saying, Rebbe, I really actually have nothing. But hold on. He felt in his jacket pocket. He actually did have something. He looks down, he digs deep, and he pulls out a soggy sandwich. He had packed some food for the road, and he had a tuna sandwich here that was all sogged out with, like, the bread was soaking wet, and there was just a little piece of fakfechta lettuce that was on it. And he said, Rebbe, I guess I have half a tuna sandwich that I didn't finish, and it's kind of soaked. And the Rebbe's eyes lit up, and he said, Herschel, that's what I want. Yes, let me have the sandwich, exactly. The Rebbe said, I'm so happy. Yes, please. Herschel gave the Rebbe this half a waterlogged, fetched the tuna sandwich and said, Rebbe, I don't understand. The Rebbe looked at him and said, Herschel, do you really think that we're excited to see you because you bring gifts, because you bring presents? Herschel, come on. You know me better than that. You know what this is all about. Herschel, we're not interested in your gifts. I don't care about the silver presents that you bring. I'm not interested in whatever trinkets and gadgets and money and pidyonos that you bring. Herschel, I want you. I want you, Herschel. All this time you thought that we're going to be happy to see you, and that what's meaningful and important about you coming to our base medrash is what you're bringing to the table, is the stuff that you bring. Sometimes, Herschel, you think that we're interested in your big varts, your big ideas, your big yedios and learning, or your great accomplishments and midos. We don't want any of that stuff. We want you. Herschel, I want you. And the Rebbe took the soggy tuna sandwich and he said, Herschel, don't you know that Hashem is interested in us? Hashem wants our hearts more than anything else. More than anything else, Rachmana, Leeba boy. Hashem wants us to bring ourselves. When we think about Matan Torah, we think about Hashem giving us this incredible gift called Torah. Hashem gives us a great present on Shavuos, and every day we're counting toward getting ready. And even if you stopped counting with a bracha, even if we forgot to count with a bracha, so the Kamarna Rebbe says you can still count with a bracha. But to ask your local Orthodox rabbi or Rav Meyer Morgenstern to get the psak that you can count with a bracha, even if you missed a day. But regardless, we're counting every single day, even without a bracha, preparing ourselves to receive the great gift. And it's true we have lots of midos work, and it's true we want to come ready, and it's true we want to bring our own gift to Hashem, our own accomplishments in learning and Torah and mitzvos. But sometimes we're not able to. Sometimes all those big expectations and sometimes all those big preparations get washed away. Sometimes everything gets turned upside down and we're not able to do or be exactly what we want. But we have to remember, no matter what happens, Hashem wants us. Hashem loves us and wants us for who we are. The most important thing for us to come to the table for Kabbalah Torah in our Yiddishkeit and our Avodat Hashem is to bring ourselves, even if sometimes we feel like all we could bring to Hashem is a soggy sandwich. We're not in the mood to daven, or we start to daven and we get distracted, or we want to learn and we want to do mitzvahs, but we're tired and we're busy and there's other things going on. And sometimes everything we're doing, the best we could do, feels just like something shvach, something soggy, a little half of a fakvetch the tuna sandwich. In the end of the day, we have to remember, Herschel made a mistake. He thought that the Rebbe was interested in bling. Maybe there's some tzaddikim who are interested in that. But the real tzaddikim amitim, what do they want? Also want cheesecake. But they also, more than anything else, want our hearts. They want us to be ourselves, to give ourselves, to do our best in our Yiddishkeit, in our davening, in our Torah, in our mitzvos, in our efforts toward being good boys and girls, toward giving tzedakah, toward being Ovdei Hashem, toward making Shabbos special and kibbut avim. More than anything else, Hashem wants us, wants our hearts, wants us to do our best. And sometimes in malasot, there's nothing we could do about it. All of our plans and all of our expectations and everything that we thought it should be a certain way and all the fancy gifts we wanted to bring, so to speak, with all of our kavanos and all of our preparation and all of our work gets washed away. But we have to remember, Ma'im rabim lo yachlu l'chabos ha'ava, even the strongest river, the strongest waters, the deepest flood can't wash away our love for Hashem and the love that Hashem has for us. The main thing to remember now and always is what the tzaddik told Hershela. Rachmana, Leeba, boy, Hashem wants our hearts, our best efforts. And all sorts of people come to the tzaddik. All sorts of people come to Yontif with their preparations. Some of us, what we prepare for Shabbos is a little bit of fish. And some of us, what we can prepare for Yontif is getting a special garment together. Some of us, it's just picking out some vegetables in the market. But the main thing for us to remember when we come for Yontif or for Shabbos, we have to remember that all the true tzaddikim, everybody who are coming are bringing something special and something unique. Every single one of us has something unique and special that Hashem gave us, special gifts, special talents, special abilities. Who we are is what Hashem is interested in. And when we come to the tzaddik and we meet up with the horse that got swept down the river, and we meet up all together for Shabbos or Yontif, whether we're in the same shul, in the same building, or wherever we are in our own homes, when our hearts are open, we're all together. And the main thing to remember in our Yiddishkeit and Avodas Hashem, the main thing is to open our hearts and to be ourselves, to do our best, and to know that that's the most important thing. And when we do that, Hashem has nachas. When we do that, we receive Hashem by bringing our own gifts, ourselves, not our silver and gold and not our fancy things that we think Hashem wants, but we bring ourselves, our simple, real, true selves, and we talk to Hashem in our own words, and we say, Ribono Shalom, I want to be close to you. Ribono Shalom, I want to help more at home. Ribono Shalom, I want to daven. Even if it comes out like a soggy tuna sandwich, Hashem will be proud and happy to receive those gifts. Now, in preparing for Matan Torah, I always think about Shavuos time, how it would be nice if Shavuos were a little bit more like Simchas Torah. Some dancing, some singing, people getting together. And the Pasuk tells us that Am Yisrael gathered together at Har Sinai. Vayechazu, we saw Ha'elukim, we saw Hashem, we experienced Hashem, and we ate and we drank. Vayachlu v'yashtu. And the Baal Shem Tov and his Talmidim say that was a very important thing. That, there's very special things about all the Yom Tovim are special. But Shavuos is even a little bit more special. Because Pesach, we can't eat exactly what we want. And on Sukkot, we can't really eat where we want. We eat in the Sukkah. On Pesach, we eat special foods for Pesach. But Shavuos, we eat milk, flesh, we eat basically whatever we want, wherever we want. Because there's no specific place called Har Sinai. We don't know exactly where Har Sinai is. Torah was given in the Midbar, specifically, because no matter where a person is, in Eretz Yisrael, outside of Eretz Yisrael, in the desert, in a specific location, in our homes, in our shuls, it doesn't matter. We could receive Torah wherever we are and enjoy it with our family, with our friends, eating, with drinking. I always feel like Shavuos should be a little bit more Simchas Torah-dik. So I want to tell you in the couple minutes that we have a quick maisa about, or a quick thought about how we could maybe make this year's Shavuos a little bit more Simchas Torah-dik. Everybody knows that we're living in unbelievable times. We're living in extraordinary times. We're seeing the footsteps of Geula all around us. We're seeing Eretz Yisrael being built up. It wasn't so long ago that Eretz Yisrael was literally a desert. The picture that I'm standing right now, I want everyone to come with me. We're going to travel now back 70 years, 73 years, right before the foundation of the state. We're going to travel back to a little shtetl on the ocean called Tel Aviv. This is Tel Aviv behind me, Tel Aviv, and behind that is what the city of Bnei Brak is right now, Ramat Gan too. Now, in those days, the Jews were trying so hard to build up the land. We're trying so hard to build a society, to build the world. And just the beginning of seeing all the miracles after the war of Kibbutz Galios. And there were a couple of very special Jews I just want to tell you about quickly, who were real dreamers and visionaries, who with incredible light of the tzaddikim had the awesome foresight and schus, confidence to build up Eretz HaKodesh. There's a Jew who saw these sand dunes and didn't just see hopelessness and helplessness and emptiness, but he saw that on these hills there was going to be Jews alive, living and enjoying and learning Torah. His name was Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman. They called him Yosef the Dreamer, like Dreamer, the Baal HaChalomos, like Yosef HaTzadik in Torah. Like Yosef, like this Yosef, he was away from his family. He'd suffered terrible tragedies, and he was all alone. And he came to Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman, and he said, I'm going to build up Yiddishkeit bigger and better than ever before. Now, he had a partner in this project. His name was Rachmana Gerstenkoren, and Reb Shraga Feivel Mendelevich in America was fundraising for him, and Rachmana Gerstenkoren was fundraising all over the world, and he went to visit tzaddikim already in the 1930s. There's stories that he went to the Imrei Emes and to the Pisetz Rebbe to get their support for it. Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman was the one who came to Eretz Yisrael and said, we're doing this. And he set out to build a city called Bnei Brak, in the place where Rabbi Akiva, that we read about in the Haggadah, where Rabbi Akiva was learning with those tzaddikim all night long. And in a very special Jew who came also from Europe, named the Chazon Ish, Reb Avram Yeshaya Karelitz. They called him the Chazon Ish and the Ish Chazon, the man of vision, and the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish was one of the Gedolei Hador, the Gadol Hador at the time, who was the biggest posek, and he was one of the first to say, I'm going to move to this new place called Bnei Brak. And it was really because of him that Jews started to come and move there. And Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman and the Chazon Ish, the Ish Chazon and the Chazon Ish, were going to build up this place of Torah, and they were going to make it a nuclear reactor of Torah. And he saw these sand dunes, and the Ponevezher Rab said, on these sand dunes, I'm going to build a big yeshiva. That yeshiva is called the Ponevezh Yeshiva, named after the city that was destroyed and the community that was lost, where Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman came from. And based on words of the Chafetz Chaim that he promised him, that the Torah would be rebuilt in Eretz Yisrael, V'har Tzion Tiyeh Pleita, v'haya Kodesh, he put it on the front of the building, that the prophecy came true. Anyways, in 1949, Simchas Torah, 1949, the Chazon Ish came from his small base medrash to the Ponevezh Yeshiva in order to dance together with the Ponevezh Rav, the Ish Chazon and the Chazon Ish together. And the dancing was awesome. It was filled with joy and simcha, and they actually found some archival photographs from those days. You can see them behind me, of what it was like in Ponevezh in 1949 at the Chazon Ish and the Ish Chazon together. They were dancing and singing all night and then all day. Toward the end of the Hakafos, the Chazon Ish excused himself. Chazon Ish excused himself and went back to his place for the Seudah. And after he had the Yontif Seudah, the couple of Talmidim that were there with the Chazon Ish saw something very strange that they'd never seen before. The Chazon Ish, after the meal, finished benching, got up, picked up his stender, his little wooden stender, held it very close to his chest, and started dancing around the table, singing Torah Hashem Temima, Torah Hashem Temima. He went around the table and then put down the stender. And then he picked up the wooden bench that he was sitting on, and he held the bench over his head, and he started dancing around the table, singing Ashreinu Matov Chelkeinu. Some of you are wondering what is going on at the Chazon Ish is dancing around the table, motherland bouncing all around his dining room in Bnei Brak with his stender and then with his benches. What's going on? The Talmud asked him, Rebbe, what are you doing? Chazon Ish looked at him and said, you know, you think that the main Hakafos were in shul, in the Beis Medrash, and with the Panav Rav, and all of my friends, and Talmidim, and the Tzaddikim, and the Talmidei Chachamim, all together. So that's very important, because shul and the Beis Medrash is a place that shows Netzach Yisrael Lo Yishaker. It's our rebuilding. It's our rebuilding, and it's our place. It's our Mikdash Ma'at. But I want you to know that the main growth that happens to a person takes place inside of their own home. And on this bench, I sat and learned Torah. And at this stender, I davened. So how could I not dance hakafos with my stender, at my own table, with the bench that I sat on? Chevra, all of us are in our houses now. All of our homes and our dining rooms and our living rooms and our playrooms and our mamad and our back room and our upstairs and our downstairs are become little batei medrash and little shuls. This is the place where we're receiving Torah. This year on Shavuos, let's take our stender, let's take our table, let's take our couch, the pillows, the blankets, everything that we're sitting on and everything around us that's absorbing all of the kedusha of our davening and our learning, and let's dance around with them. Let's make this Shavuos, if we're going to be at home, let's make Shavuos into Matan Torah, a time of Simchas Torah. And Lubavitch Rebbe was careful never to call that which is not alive something dead. And there's different levels of existence. There's obviously human beings, there's Jews, there's Medaber, there's Chai, there's the animal kingdom, there's Tzomeach, the kingdom that grows, and there's the world of Domim. And there are those who call it the inanimate world. But that which is Domim is not inanimate. It's not that it doesn't have a life to it. It's just silent, it's domain. Our stenders, our tables, where we eat, where we drink, the oven, the counter, the refrigerator, the floor, the walls around us, everything is part of this beautiful, beautiful world that Hashem made, and all of it is alive with divine vitality. All of it has a pulse, and all of it is part of our avodas Hashem. This year, Shavuos, even if we're not in the shul, and the shul doesn't have, and we don't have a big fancy silver plate to have fancy cheesecake on, and had decorated with flowers and trees and everything that we're used to, with all of our chaverim and everybody dancing in the Beis Medrash. This year, wherever we are, let's make it a place of Simchas Torah. Let's dance in our homes, let's dance in our rooms, let's dance around our table with our family and with everything that's domim, that's been silently watching us grow closer to Hashem and bring our hearts to the Ribono Shel Olam. Take the sefer that we're learning, take the table that we're sitting on, take the food that we're eating and dance with it. Hold it up like bikurim, let's sing and let's dance. And remember, the main thing what Hashem wants for us is Rachmana Leeba boy. Hashem wants our hearts. Friends, it was very, very, very special to get together with you here today. It was really beautiful. I hope that we have an opportunity to get together again. I don't know where it'll be. I'm not sure where it's going to be and where we'll meet each other, but Emir Hashem, it'll be in Yerushalayim, Habnuya, all together. Maybe it'll be in Mezhebaz on the way. Shavuos is the yahrzeit of the Baal Shem Tov. Certainly we'll be able to be with the Baal Shem Tov on Yontif all together, wherever we are. But Hashem should help us that we should be besimcha, we should be in good health, we should always be happy, we should be zocha to a Kabbalah Satorah, with simcha, with pnimius, with tmimus, with pshitus, wherever we are, and let the silent world around us rejoice together with us, and make our homes places that are literally like Har Sinai with all of that great joy. Enjoy whatever sagi tuna fish sandwich you might be having for lunch today, in whatever way, in Nefesh. Hashem should help us that in good health, with harchava, an expanded way, we should be zocha to Kabbalah Satorah and Yerushalayim Habnuya. Lots of love, everybody. We hope we get to see you somewhere along the way. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Don't forget, tomorrow night in the virtual Cheider, learning with Reb Leibish. Tune in.
But you're invited to unmute.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Guys, have a great day.
Thank you, Uncle Judah.
Guys, thank you, guys. Everybody.
Bye, Judah.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow, you raised the bar.
See you guys. Be well, everyone.
Yeah.
You, Uncle Judah.
We got Troy. Chris. Hey, Yossi, the kid.
Judah, thank you. This is one you did, that's all.
Bye, guys. We'll see you soon.
On WhatsApp.
Oh, it look like